Hi there everybody, and welcome to another video. On today's video I have this Toyota CHR hybrid. This is a 2019 model, and I'm gonna be changing the oil and the oil filter. I'm also gonna top up some Screenwash fluid, which goes in this container here, and I'm also going to be changing the air filter in the car. We're also gonna have a quick look at the coolant level. Now, you may find that there are two tanks that show coolant in this car. One tank is for the hybrid system, which is this one here. We can also check the coolant level on that. And the other one, it's this one here, which is the engine expansion tank there, where we can check the coolant level as well. We're also going to check the percentage of antifreeze, which means how much this water will resist not freezing, basically. So we're gonna check that, and basically I'm going to start with topping up some Screenwash fluid that goes in here. In terms of Screenwash fluid, I normally get concentrated one and I mix it myself, but you can buy one of these 5-liter tanks which has already mixed coolant, and you can pour it straight in without having to mix it, because normally people run out of these when they are in the motorway or something, and you can go into a petrol station and buy the stuff ready mixed and just pour it into the tank, rather than trying to find water and mixing it. But I do definitely recommend using the proper stuff, because if you only put water in there, obviously if it's really an emergency and you need water and you only have water, then put water, but come to winter, that water will freeze, so you'll definitely have to add some fluid if you put water, and it freezes and then it doesn't come out the jets, and it doesn't clean your windscreen, obviously. So that's the issue with it. And also many people sometimes use they add other type of stuff, vinegar or even washing up liquid, but that comes out either really thick, like foamy, very foamy, and it doesn't clean anything. It doesn't do anything. So stick to the proper stuff. It's something like £3.50 to get a 5-liter one, so I need to get another one just now because that wasn't enough, so I'm gonna get that. Okay, I topped it up, so now we can close this, and we are happy that we have the proper fluid. So enough. I'm not gonna bore you with all the logistics anymore. I'm pretty sure you know what I mean. So let's move on to the coolant. Coolant goes in this tank. You can see it's kind of pink in color, same as that one there. There will be a little mark on the side here that says minimum or full, so I'm gonna try to focus on that. Okay, there you can just see the full and the low mark, so the two lines there. Now this one is showing to be a little bit higher than the full, but that might be because I had the engine running for a little bit in order to get the engine a little bit warm, so I can drain the oil a bit easier. So it's not hot at all though. I didn't let it run for too long, but sometimes it affects the coolant. Now another thing, if you have had the engine running for a long time, if you open that, do it really carefully, because you can get burnt as shown in there. So it says do not open when it's hot. So this isn't hot, that's why I'm opening it confidently. But you've been warned, because that when it's really hot, it just boils. It will burn you badly. Now with this little device, we're going to check the percentage of antifreeze. So we suck some of that antifreeze into this little gadget, and the little needle there is showing me something like, if this can focus, it's showing me something like -30. So that means the temperature outside will have to get to -30 in order for this fluid to freeze. So I'm happy with that, because we haven't had that kind of temperature in the UK. Obviously, if you're in Alaska or the North Pole, and when you lock that, you can hear the click. If you're in the North Pole, where maybe -90 or something, then that will definitely freeze. So you would need a lot more antifreeze in that case scenario. And the level is fine. It is a little bit more than the full, but that is not a big deal. If it was really full all the way up to here, then that would be a problem, because then there wouldn't be a room for expansion. So this is why this is called the expansion tank anyway. Same here. You can see the two marks, the minimum and the maximum. So, or full and low. Again, it's a little bit higher than the full there, but not a big deal in that case. Again, if it was all the way up to here, then I would consider draining some. So we'll check that as well. And that is again showing us about -30. So again, I'm happy with that. And now we can close that again until it clicks. And that's it. So again, that one, do not open if the engine has been running and is really hot, or you have to open it really carefully to release the pressure. So now we can move on to the air filter. So to change the air filter in this car, we need to open this little box here. It's got two clips, 1, 2, and that will come up. We have to release it from these clamps at the back. We may need to release this screw here. It's a 10mm or a Phillips. You can undo, so this cover can just slide out a little bit easier. Okay, so I'm just going to loosen this right. Screwdriver is a little bit small. But if we release that clamp, it will make things be easier. And by the way, my filter is just sitting up there. Right, so we can easily move that out of the way. And the filter is sitting just here. Now this is a Toyota filter. It actually looks extremely clean. I may not even change it, to be fair. This is a Toyota part 17801. The reason this is probably looking this clean, it's because this car has only got 12,000 miles. So you will maybe find your filter really dirty and you want to change it. So I think I'm going to leave it. I'm not going to change this. This would be a waste of money for sure. This car does not belong to anybody, so it's not like I'm cheating in any way. And also, if your car has 100,000 miles or something, in there you may find that it might be dirty. This one I can see is really clean inside as well. So you may want to use a hoover and take whatever dirt is inside, or you can even use a piece of rag or something just to clean a little bit inside. You can still remove these for ease of access in the end. So you can see how clean this box is. So anyway, but it looks like in the end I didn't really have to remove this screw, because this just came out quite easily. Anyway, let's fit that back, clamps back on, and we can retighten that. And also, if you're using a screwdriver like this, then it will be hard to over tighten that. But if you're using a 10mm ratchet, you could easily over tighten that and damage that, or even the rubber here or the plastic. I'll just put a little bit of grease on that screw. With time, they sort of gather a bit of corrosion, so if you want, you can add a little bit of grease to that screw as well. Right, so I'm going to save this air filter. The one in there is cleaner than even this one, so I can return this one. Not a big deal. Now we're going to concentrate on the oil and the oil filter. So I'm going to start by pulling the dipstick here, and also I'm going to open the oil filler cap here, which is a bit hard. So if it's a bit hard, you can use a pair of pliers just to crack it open, and then we're gonna leave that sitting there. Now this car was last serviced in 2022. We are in 2024. It's been 2 years, but it's only done 4,000 miles. So the oil that may come out may look very clean, but still it has been 2 years, so there would be moisture and things that form around the sump and whatnot, and we are better off changing the oil than leaving it there just thinking it's only done 4,000 miles. So I'm gonna get the car up. Luckily I've got a ramp, and then we can drain the oil and tackle the filter from underneath. And by the way, this car takes, I've got the manual here, it takes oil capacity with filter change 4.2 liters. And it says without filter change 3.9 liters. So it's about 300 mils that goes into the filter. And also they do have a recommendation for oils here, oil grade, 0W20, 5W30, 10W30. It really depends where you are, and you should check this little chart here which talks about temperatures. Now, for example, if you're in a place where temperatures are minus 18, or it says here plus 27. So minus 18 degrees, you don't really want to use these oils. They would be a bit too thick. 5W30 covers a wide range, and 0W20 covers even more. However, we have been using 0W20 on Toyota Priuses in the past, and temperatures in the UK are a little bit hotter than they used to be, and we find that 0W20 actually starts burning. It burns and it becomes like carbon type of thing, and it sort of starts blocking the EGR valve and whatnot. So ever since we've been using 5W30 on these engines, and it was also recommended to us by Toyota to stop using 0W20. So if you are in a very hot country, even though this oil here covers a wide range, it would be, if you are at 27 degrees and above country, this would be too thin and it will not be very good. So you would be better off with something like 10W30 or even 15W40. But obviously if you're in a very cold country, minus 18 or so, you would be better off with 0W20. So anyway, it is what it is. So now I'm gonna get the car up and we're gonna drain the oil. So looking at the car from underneath, I got my wheels off because just part of the service. Remove the wheels and check the brakes and discs. But if you look under here, under the front of the engine, there's this tray, and then there's this little tray. If you undo the 10mm screws, there is 4 of them. So there was one there, one here, another one here, and another one there. If you remove all of those, then you can take this cover off. And that will reveal access to that will give us access here to the oil filter and to the sump plug, which usually is a 14mm, and this, we'll have a look, but normally I use this one here. This one here fits the Prius, which has a plastic cover on it, and usually these little things on the side, they hook onto the plastic cover and you undo it. So if you look for a tool that, for a Prius, you will see these online. So if you Google wrench for oil filter Prius, you will see that fits the metal filter anyway. Right, so I'm gonna get an oil pan to catch the oil. Okay, got myself an oil pan, and now we can undo the 14mm here. So just crack that open. It might not be that tight. This one was not that tight actually. Usually these are tightened to like 30 Newton meters or so. So you can see that oil, it looks very clean, and I know many of you will say shouldn't have changed it, but again, it has been a couple of years since this oil has been changed. So we'll let that drain and then we'll undo the filter. Okay, that's been dripping for a little while. Now we can tackle our filter. So I've got my ratchet again here, and remember it's about 300 mils of oil in the filter, so do have your oil pan sitting underneath as well, otherwise you're going to have a mess on the floor. So again, that filter shouldn't be in there too tight, because it would have been hand tight when they put it in. So we can get that off. That again, that is a Toyota part. This car was serviced at Toyota. It's a Denso, if you want to get Toyota parts. That's the one there, 90915 YZZ M3. Still made in China. Funny enough. So it says FC1150108200. Isn't that funny? So anyway, I'm gonna let this drip for a little while. Just one thing to remember: if your engine has been running a lot, the oil would also be very hot. So you want to be careful when you, especially when you remove this sump plug bolt. If any oil gets on your hands, if you're not wearing gloves or something, you can burn yourself badly. So again, just something to think about. Maybe let the engine cool down a bit before you do the service. While that is dripping, I'm going to show you the one I'm using is a Blueprint. It's a good make, made in Germany as far as I know, and it's ADT 32109, and that's the one there. I've already taken it out. And what I did is there is a little plastic cover here. You just need to puncture it and remove it. And then I applied a little bit of multi-purpose grease here with my finger. So you can also use a bit of the oil that you're going to use on the car around the O-ring there. And when we fit this back into the car, into the engine, and we fit it by hand, this little rubber will slide nicely without getting caught or damaged on the way in. So that's why or normally a lot of people do it, apply a bit of grease, but many other people don't either, as I have had comments on other videos saying, why do I put grease there? They never done it in 50 years and they never had an issue. So there's no harm on putting it, but I guess it also works without it, but I'm not sure. I've always done it this way. So it is what it is. Again, it's up to you. So I'm gonna let the oil drip and then we'll put that in. Okay, I left this draining for quite some time now, so we can fit our sun plug bolt back in there. Now I didn't actually change the washer of it, so you can remove the washer and put a copper washer on it. Usually those have it looks like a paper washer on them. Now again, I just inspected that and it looks in good condition, so that's why I'm just refitting it. But by all means, go ahead and replace it. And also, I'm gonna fit this in here. By the way, you can wipe the area surrounding the filter there, the housing, just where the gasket is going to be sitting in. Wipe it off, and then we can put this in by hand. So just tighten that by hand as much as you can, and that should be it. You don't need to use any tools. And for tightening the sun plug bolt, we can actually use the ratchet, and I would say these are like tighten these to 30 Newton meters or so. So just make sure you don't overdo it. If you're not using a torque wrench, be careful with it, because you don't want to damage the bolt or the sump here. That would be give you an extra 20 hours of work. So now I'm going to rinse this and rinse this area here as well. I'm using some brake and clutch fluid, cleaning fluid, to rinse the area of oil. So that is done now, and now I'm just going to fit the little cover here with the 4 screws. That kind of goes without saying. And then I'm gonna lower the car. I have to put all the wheels back on, but then we can put some oil in it. So the time for putting some oil in has come. We'll take that little cover out. I'm just gonna put that in there so I can aim properly, and clean that a little bit. And also you have your dipstick here, and if you look at your manual is going to show you those 2 dots here, that one and that one. This dot here is the minimum, and this dot here is the max. So by the time we fill this oil in here, the 4.2 liters, we're gonna see that the oil is actually going to be a little bit higher than the max. And the reason for that is because some of the once you run the engine, as you know, 300 mils will stay in the oil filter housing and the oil filter itself. And then when you check your dipstick again, you're gonna see it's gone down to the little full mark. So I'm just gonna put the okay, got the 4.2 in there. We can put that cover back on. Now we can check dipstick here and have a look. So that is already showing to be at the max. So by the time all the oil is run down, it will be showing to be a little bit above the max. Okay, it's hard to see, but from the max dot, this is somewhere, just somewhere here. Instead of the max dot, is somewhere here. Because obviously the oil is quite nice and clean, but I am expecting it to be above, so that's okay. And I'm just going to start the engine, make sure it's running well, there isn't any warning lights in the dash. And so while I start the car, I'm just going to stay in there like 2 seconds, make sure there's no oil pressure lights or anything like that. So I'm going to do that. That's it. Engine sounds good, running sweet. And now just gonna wipe that off. I'm gonna check the oil again, and this time we should be a little bit more towards the max mark. If we can see this, it's a little bit difficult to see, to be honest, but it is pretty much, you can see the shiny bit just about the max there. So that's what we're aiming anyway. But as the manual states, 4.2 liters, and you should be fine really. The main reason, I'm just checking here to show you that the car takes about 4.2 liters. If you were checking the engine oil level halfway through the year, you would expect it to be somewhere around the max mark, maybe a little bit less if the engine consumes a bit of oil, but usually these engines don't normally consume any oil. But But if it is quite low, then you could have a leak, or it could be burning a bit more oil than it should. But anyway, today was just about a basic service, and we're pretty much finished here. So I hope the video helps. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you all on the next video. So thank you for watching.